Since kindergarten, Helen and I have never gone more than 3 days without seeing each other. But ever since our families talked about getting us engaged, she's been avoiding me for a whole year. She blocked me on everything. Her company security said no unauthorized person, especially Felix, could get in. If I even popped into her site, she'd just turn around and leave. Eventually, her friends couldn't take it anymore, and one of them helped me sneak to see Helen. When I got there, I heard Helen's cold voice through the door, like a pet that just comes when you call. He's got no skills, no personality. Getting engaged to him is beneath me. I held the door handle without pushing it open. Lucy, who's behind me, quickly covered my ears. Bro, don't listen to Helen. She's just drunk and not thinking straight. I'll go give her a piece of my mind. With that, she was about to barge in. But I grabbed Lucy's sleeve and shook my head. All along, I just wanted to ask Helen why she was so against the engagement, even causing such a scene among the upper circles. I called her sister for nearly 17 years. But she's not really my sister. If she's gonna get married, why can't it be to me? Now I know why. It's not because I'm not good enough or handsome enough. It's because to her, I've always been just a little pet she raised since I was young. For fun, to kill time, or just something pleasant to keep around. Lucy helped wipe my tears, murmuring, "Can't believe what Andy and the others are chatting about. None of it's reliable." "It's okay, Lucy." I took a deep breath. "Can you give me a ride back? I don't want to look for her anymore." As we turned to leave, someone inside opened the door. We were all dumbfounded, standing face to face with Andy. She was clueless about what just happened and dragged me inside. This little get-together was everyone's way to try coaxing Helen into making up with me. Andy made me sit across from Helen. "Helen, even if you're against the family, don't treat Felix like this. Felix is someone we've watched grow up. Talk it out. Don't let a sharp tongue and a soft heart cause misunderstandings." Helen hadn't lifted her head since I entered the room, but her hand holding the cup was turning white. Lucy came in, made eye contact with Andy, and shook her head. Just as Lucy was about to pull me out, Helen finally spoke up. "Felix, why don't you ever listen to me? Didn't I say we shouldn't meet until Grandpa and my parents changed their minds? Why are you being so stubborn?" I hung my head, speechless. The room was tense. The last time Helen was this mad was when a close senior of hers confessed to me. Lucy sighed and signaled everyone to leave and let us talk alone. Helen took a frustrated sip of her drink. "Could you have some self-respect? I've told you I'm not interested in you, never saw you as a man. Instead of clinging to me, how about improving yourself? All you do is hang around women. Are you dumb? I'm gonna fully take over the company soon, traveling for work. I can't have you tagging along everywhere." I felt like I was sinking into a freezing ocean, my whole body cold and lost for words. This is how she's seen me all these years? So just stay away from me. Grandpa's probably gonna give up on the engagement soon anyway. Got it. You're not gonna bother Lucy and the others to find me again? Won't happen again. Images from my past flashed in my mind like a movie reel. I used to cherish these memories as my most valuable treasures. How laughable it all seems now. I overlooked how Helen became increasingly impatient with me from high school on, ignored her clear disdain for my style, and her disbelief when her senior confessed. Can't believe someone actually likes him? I looked at Helen earnestly. "Helen, I really appreciate you saving me when I was a kid. I'll remember this from now on. I won't bug you ever again." With that, I left without looking back. When I got back to the villa and turned on the lights, it was as empty as ever. My parents were never home, and Grandma lived in the mountains for wellness. I heard from Helen's mom that since birth, our family had just the maid to care for me. When I was 3, the maid left to buy groceries and forgot to lock the door. I ended up running out and fell in the street. Helen, playing in the yard, heard my cries and brought me back to the Lou's house. For nearly a decade after, I grew up trailing behind Helen. Same elementary, middle, and even the same college. When I got bullied for being a loner, Helen had my back, teaching me how to stand up for myself. All in all, Helen's been more present in my life than my parents ever were. I depended on her too much. So when she started avoiding me, I was terrified, desperately looking for her. A year wasn't long but felt harder than the past several years combined. I sat at my computer, staring at an acceptance email for an exchange program. The therapist suggested a change of environment and finding new hobbies for distraction. I had thought of telling Helen, but laughed at myself instead. She'd probably be glad for me to be far away. When I left, I just texted my parents, though they probably wouldn't care. Landed in Italy, stumbled through paperwork and renting a place. It wasn't as hard as I'd imagined. While waiting for school to start, I traveled and explored some local cities. Therapy was right. A change of scenery does change your mindset and habits. After getting mugged multiple times, I decided to learn self-defense. No one's gonna look out for me anymore. I have to protect myself. 2 months into school in Italy, Lucy called. "Felix, why didn't you tell us you were in Italy? We found out by chance from a classmate of yours." "Yeah, I just needed a break to study and clear my head abroad. It's just for a few months, don't worry. How's life there? Is it safe where you stay?" "Everything's great, really safe." "All right then. Maybe you should tell your sister? She has some friends there." "No need. I'm all good. No need to trouble anyone." "Okay. Well, if anything comes up, you can reach out to me or your sister." In the office, Lucy only turned off her phone after the call ended. "Grown up, huh?" Helen had a gloomy look on her face. "Come on, Helen, you were the one who told him not to bug you." Lucy sat on the sofa, looking over Felix's exchange student application. "Not bugging me doesn't mean he can't call or text." "Oh my God. Look at your blocked list. You said even if it was just for show, it had to be real, then bam, blocked him. How's he supposed to reach you? Even I wouldn't bother." Lucy rolled her eyes. She's Helen's childhood friend and watched Felix grow up. She kind of knows about his family situation. Growing up neglected by his parents, he's a quiet kid, always sticking close to Helen. But Helen doesn't have romantic feelings for him. Even though she worries about him, she pretends to be tough. What a mess. Let them handle it however. After Lucy left, Helen massaged her temples. A bubbling frustration sat in her chest. Even worse than seeing so many portraits of herself in Felix's studio. Their families pressured them to get engaged. Felix was just starting his junior year in college. A kid who's never dated, what does he know? Helen hesitated a moment, then took her brother off the blocked contact list. She then called Jason, her secretary, into the room. "You wanted to see me?" Felix ran off to Italy on his own. Jason's lips curled up in a momentary triumph before being suppressed. "This shows my tough love teaching is working. No upbringing, no corrections when they make mistakes. He's in his junior year yet he only circles around you. How can he amount to anything? A guy without a backbone won't stand on his own without harsh words." Jason explained with a smile. "And going abroad might not mean progress. Maybe he's trying those romance novel mind games. I'm a guy. I know these little tricks. To cure this infatuation, you must keep the right distance." Helen mulled it over. But he's never traveled far before. By junior year, though, should be fine with anything. When I was younger than him, I left for college in a new city. It wasn't that hard, no need to coddle boys. Helen thought some more, it made sense. Maybe Felix misread his feelings. Love mistaken for affection. Time to let him try the world on his own. She had Jason cancel her flight to Italy, turning back to work. Bang, bang, bang. Acknowledging the coach, I put down the M1, massaging my wrist. My shooting got better since last time. I packed up and cleared my head. With a combat class in the afternoon and needing to get home early tonight. Couldn't run into that annoying neighbor again. Just at the door, a small figure approached me. I quietly stepped aside. But the person stopped right in front of me. "Excuse me, are you Felix?" The Mandarin was perfect. "Yes, and you are?" I looked up in curiosity. The woman wore a tailor-made suit, nearly 5 feet 7 inches, exuding authority. Yet as our eyes met, it vanished. Her eyes were, surprisingly, deep blue. "I'm Becky, a friend of Helen's." "Oh, nice to meet you. Helen mentioned you came here for school. She's worried, asked me to look after you. That apartment isn't safe. I've arranged another place. Want to move there? You can call Helen." Becky gestured, leading us to a nearby cafe. She dialed on the phone, chatted briefly, then passed it to me. Felix. Yeah. Becky has some business deals with our family. She'll sort the housing. You can ask her about anything. I steadied myself at the familiar voice, almost like before Helen started avoiding me. Could be time, distance, or a year of separation working its magic. I wasn't as upset as I thought I'd be. Okay, got it, thanks. The call stalled a second, then continued. But don't cling, learn independence, make some progress, got it? Understood. After hanging up, I handed the phone back to Becky. Obediently followed her to the car. Considering partnerships, Helen probably promised Becky some benefits. For safety's sake abroad, I wouldn't resist. In the car, Becky called someone to pack my stuff, then took me for a Chinese meal. An hour later, the driver drove straight into an estate. Felix, this way. Thank you. Stepping out, I saw a butler and maids waiting. Becky gestured for me to follow her in. No need to be formal, I met you at 7 before I left the country. Curiously, I glanced up, meeting her gaze. You and Helen were playing hide and seek. Bumped into my leg. Becky reminisced. Felix made quite the impression then. With her father. They hadn't just entered when a tiny thing bumped into her. Kids that age would cry loudly if hurt. But little Felix just sat on the floor, holding his nose. Before she could comfort him, he got up on his own. Murmured to himself, Felix doesn't hurt. I'm a good boy. Then he ran off. From what her assistant gathered that morning, probably cried alone without comfort. Back then, Helen was just a 9-year-old kid. Didn't really have time to bother with a neighbor's child. Becky was thinking, if nobody wanted him, maybe she'd take him overseas herself. She didn't expect that, over a decade later, she'd actually get to fulfill that childhood thought. Before she knew it, she walked up to the second floor. In a room to the right of the stairs, with the door open, a man and a couple of maids were unpacking my luggage. When the man saw us, he came out and greeted us. Becky, Felix. Weren't you going to move to the flat in the south? Why the change to your manner? Hearing that, I looked at Becky. She touched the tip of her nose and said, Oh, my cousin's coming to stay at the flat, so we'll just settle Felix here for now. Oh, okay. The following days were quite peaceful. Becky set up a small art studio for me in the study on the 3rd floor. When I didn't have class, I'd paint in there. Becky often worked in the study too. Sometimes she'd sit beside me and watch me paint, joking about how she wanted to collect works from a future master. When she learned I was studying shooting and combat, she offered to be my coach. Noticing that my clothes were all simple and sporty, she had luxury brands send over a bunch of well-matched outfits. She had great taste. Until then, I didn't realize I could dress so well. I really thought my life would always be this calm. Until one day, I sensed something different about the manor's atmosphere. The butler knocked on my door. Felix, we're clearing out the manor. You'll need to stay at a hotel for a few days to a week. The driver and servant will be there, so it won't affect your routine. I hesitated, brushing the door frame with my fingertip, then couldn't help but ask, is Becky staying at the hotel too? This familiar situation made my heart sink. Was Becky tired of me too? Even though I'd only been here for 3 months. Becky's going on a business trip. She'll pick you up once she's back. I clenched my fists, pushing down a bitter feeling, and agreed to go. All right. When do we leave? We can head out now. I said I'd change clothes first, then closed the door and chuckled at myself. It's nothing anyway. It's not the first time. Reflecting on my time with Becky these 3 months, sometimes I felt like I'd met a kindred spirit. Her compulsive little actions, the way she analyzed my paintings. Then again, maybe she's really just busy. I slung a backpack over my shoulder and went downstairs. The manor's maids were mostly gone. Only the butler and driver waited at the front door. A wild thought crossed my mind. Could Becky be bankrupt? I couldn't help but laugh, then choked on my own spit. Gesturing to the butler, I turned to the kitchen for some water. The manor wasn't familiar to me yet. It's not small, but not too big either. After a drink, I passed a room with its door slightly ajar, the sound of glass breaking coming from inside. Wasn't everyone supposed to be gone? Could it be Becky's pets? A cat or dog? Breaking something? Surely not a person. Curiosity got the better of me. I returned to the kitchen for a knife and pushed open the ajar door. Behind it was a staircase leading down. Was this the basement? The light by the stairs was on, and the walls adorned with beautiful murals. I held a phone in one hand, a knife in the other, and slowly descended. Another door waited below, intricately crafted. I pondered whether to stop here, thinking about possible danger. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar voice caught my ear. A soft groan, but unmistakably Becky's voice. I spun around and opened the door. There she was, sitting on the ground. Broken wine bottles scattered around her. Becky clutched a shard of glass in her right hand with her left hand bloodied. Caught between fleeing and mustering the courage to help, I called out from the doorway. A little scared, but not entirely. Becky? Becky? Are you okay? Her body froze, muscles tense, apparently startled to hear me. Becky turned to face me. Felix? How'd you find this place? Didn't the butler take you out? She offered her usual warm smile, ignoring the tremor in her left hand. I agonized for minutes, regretting initiating this. Should I just leave you be? Make sure to take care of that injury. I was about to shut the door when I heard her faint plea. Don't go. Huh? I won't harm you, don't be afraid. I just had a nightmare. Couldn't sleep. Felt a bit scared. Felix, could you keep me company for a bit? I left the basement to find the butler still at the door. Felix, what are your plans? I'll stay and look after her. I'm sure Becky called you earlier. The butler sighed. All right. Felix, Becky's not dealing with anything dire. It's just that her mother's death anniversary is fast approaching, and she has some psychological shadows from it. Yeah. I grabbed the medical kit and headed back down. I helped her up to the basement bed and dressed her wound. You're not gonna ask? No. But if you want to talk, nothing much. Okay. With Becky wide awake, we read books together. I've been an insomniac for ages anyway. Sometimes we'd watch movies on a tablet. After 3 days, Becky seemed back to her usual self and led me out of the basement. The manor staff acted like nothing happened, but between Becky and me, there was a new, subtle understanding. Felix, could you do me a favor? I had just finished my final project in the studio when Becky surprised me at my side with a playful smile. Of course. Becky raised an eyebrow. I haven't even said what it's about. With Becky's wealth and status, there's nothing I could get her. I hardly know anyone, so it's not about mingling. So I'm the only one who might be useful. Paint a picture? Or do you need me to be your date for some event? I shrugged. It's probably because she wants me as her date for something. Smart guess. I want to invite you to my Aunt Guaraldi's dinner party. My aunt loves introducing me to the noble young men she knows. Every time, it's tough to get away from her matchmaking attempts. In the past, there was no one close enough to pretend to be my date. But now you're here. I agreed readily. Though no one really raised me as a kid, I never lacked for money or material things. So, I found people to teach me everything I needed to know. That morning, Becky personally brought a suit to my room. It was custom made. The suit was classic black, simple yet with a striking silhouette, giving off a vibe of elegance and composure. Once dressed, a stylist did my hair to match it. I held the railing on the second floor. Becky looked up from the couch when she heard me. When she saw me, her deep blue eyes widened with genuine amazement. She quickly made her way upstairs. She stopped one step below me. She reached out a hand. Would this handsome prince care to join me at the dinner? I couldn't help but laugh. Pretty childish, honestly. I took her hand. Just as I was about to descend, I noticed she hadn't moved. Confused, I looked up to her, silently asking what was up. Felix, that was the first time you've smiled since coming here. Do you know why I picked this suit for you? I shook my head. Don't let people's poor vision bring you down. You're already beautiful inside and out. The dinner went smoothly. Lady Guaraldi adored me, and none of the supposed suitors Becky mentioned showed up. After the opening dance, Becky invited me to the dance floor. Becky, seems like your charm really isn't working. You promised I'd be your shield, but it didn't feel necessary. Becky looked down. It's just that some gentleman was a bit too dazzling. I met her gaze, deep and mysterious, yet with hidden intensity. Over the past few months, I'd sensed she treated me differently. Not pity, not politeness, not even the caring of an elder. It was more like acceptance, spoiling, and admiration. It might sound cliché, but that's the best way I can describe it. Becky had a voice that was pure music. I want to be a gardener, nurturing a flower until it blooms, then cherishing it for life until it fades away. Suddenly, I felt her grip tighten around my waist, holding me close to Becky. Sorry, I got a bit carried away, she said, though her hold didn't slacken a bit. Becky, didn't you leave school early to study abroad? That confession was so corny. I mocked. I understood her intention, though. The dance ended, and I stepped back from her grasp. Becky didn't follow the dance script. I had barely taken 2 steps before she pulled me by the arm and started walking away with me. Gasps erupted from the crowd around us. She led me out of the manor, walked straight to the car, told the driver to leave. Silence filled the ride. When we reached Becky's estate, she pulled me out again. Gentle but firm, not allowing for refusal. We walked through the main hall, stopping only when we reached the middle of the garden. Felix, you didn't reject me. Becky finally dropped her gentle mask. The woman who carved out a business empire abroad couldn't be nothing but a gentle princess. What do you like about me? I asked, holding her gaze. Everything. From the moment I saw you at the shooting club, I've watched you intensely, fascinated. You seemed fragile enough to crush with one hand, yet fiercely captivating. Loveless, insecure, mistrusting of anyone, yet able to create such clean, serene art. Everything about you hits my sweet spot. I slapped away her hand as she reached for my face. Wow, you look obsessed enough to be a stalker. So, what do you want? I looked at the wolf showing her fangs. In the basement, you stayed with me for 3 days. That's when I thought, I wish you'd always be by my side. Becky's hand slid from my cheek to my throat, applying slight pressure. It's like she held my life in her hand. Strong, yet so controlling. Be my other half. I can be your family, your friend, your lover, any relationship you want, to shower you with all my love. And I will be yours completely. My wealth, family, body, soul, and life. At that moment, time seemed to stand still. I was tempted by her promise of all her love. I heard myself say, okay. Then I was pulled into the embrace that felt like it controlled my entire world. We shared a powerful kiss. Becky was both my breath and the one who wanted to devour my soul. The next morning, the sound of a ringing phone woke me. My phone's always on silent, and since staying here, only Becky has my number. The sound was really annoying. I was about to get up and throw it, but a hand gently touched my face, calming me down, releasing the tension from my lips. Becky's voice was soft in my ear. It's okay. It's my phone, sweetheart. She picked up the phone, glanced at the screen, neither answering nor rejecting it. Snuggled into Becky's arms, I opened my eyes and looked up. She raised an eyebrow, intrigued. It's Helen. Do you want to take it? She kissed me briefly. Sure, give it here. I rolled my eyes. Becky, you're so childish. Helen, I heard you took Felix to the dance yesterday. Thank you for looking after him. Felix isn't used to these kinds of events. Hope he wasn't a bother. I cleared my throat. I didn't trouble Becky and actually listened to her quite a bit, listening all the way into the same bed, cursing myself for being so easily swayed by her last night. Felix? Yeah, looks like it was actually your call. Becky handed me the phone. Good habit, waking up early. Keep it up. Helen might have thought we were already up having breakfast. I didn't feel like explaining either. Okay, sis. After a few meaningless chats, Helen hung up the phone. She was standing with some friends at the golf course. One of them looked quite smug, saying, See, I told you. Last night, my sister went to Mrs. Gower's dinner and immediately recognized Felix, Helen's little brother. Helen looked at her call screen with a puzzled expression. Got any photos? Yeah, my sister sent me some. Felix never dressed this well back home. Is it because you, as his sister, don't let him? Ken joked around. It was only after a few laughs he noticed the mood had changed. Let me see the photos. Helen's voice got completely cold. Oh, okay. Ken barely brought up the chat history when Helen snatched the phone away. Ken's sister took a dozen photos. There were ones with Felix and Becky entering arm in arm, the pair dancing in the ballroom, and Becky pulling Felix away by the hand. Ken's sister noted, "These two are definitely a couple, aren't they? Mom said I should get to know Becky, but turns out she's already taken. You have to admit, Helen, your brother's pretty good looking. Can't believe you're not tempted," Ken said as Helen's face got darker. Hey, Helen, easy on my phone. It's gonna get bent," Ken chirped as he tried to rescue his phone. Lucy saw the photos too, sighed, and tried to comfort Helen. "Felix does look nice in a suit. At least he's attending events now. That's progress. Progress." Helen swatted Lucy's hand away from her shoulder, gritting her teeth. "Becky. After getting with Becky, I felt like my whole world changed. The day after we got together, Becky handed me a property transfer document. All properties under her name, including the estate we were living in, bearing my name, plus a large part of her companies at home and abroad. Are you crazy?" In the study, Becky sat in the office chair, going through the stack of documents. "No. What if I hadn't agreed to be with you? We aren't even married. What if I ran off with the money?" I asked, looking back at the woman with a doting smile. "Yeah, I think I am crazy," Helen said, laughing. "A big lunatic with a little one, perfect match. And, babe, that surprise kitten look is so cute. Trying to think of more I should give you." Felix quickly covered her mouth, looking at her with feigned disgust. "Ugh, you're so mushy. But oh, how sweet it felt inside." He smiled slightly, gazing at Helen lovingly. "All right, I guess. I've got to pamper the woman I chose. Felix, this is our home now." Becky nestled her head into Felix's neck, speaking softly. Felix looked at the sunlight spilling into the study, the air carrying a sweet scent. He inhaled deeply, taking it all in. "Okay." Felix responded with a slight smile. "I've never been happier. We have a home now." In the midst of their bliss, Felix's phone rang. Ever since Becky discovered his ringtone anxiety, she changed all his ringtones to her humming, which did wonders for soothing him. Glancing at the call, he saw it was a WeChat call from his mom. "It's all right. Go ahead," Becky whispered, kissing his ear softly. Felix steadied himself and answered. "Felix, when are you coming home?" "5 months. Helen's grandpa is having a birthday party next week. You should go." "All right. Are you having issues with Helen?" "No." "Then why are you bothering me with this stuff? Don't call me for trivial matters." "Sure." Felix stared at his phone after the call ended. Becky stroked his hair, softly comforting him. "Felix? I don't think I feel sad anymore. I don't even care why she dislikes me." Becky turned him to face her and kissed his forehead, murmuring, "Good boy." Felix touched his forehead, then hugged Becky tightly, his eyes red with emotion. No more sadness, no more having to endure. Felix and Becky returned the day before Helen's grandpa's birthday. He took her to stay at the family villa. Becky pouted after seeing his paintings, pouting the whole night until he promised to paint more for her. Arriving at the party, the hall was filled with people. Before they could find his family, Becky got surrounded by folks making small talk. Felix quietly slipped to a quiet corner, sipping red wine. "Felix?" A voice called out. He looked up, recognizing Jason in a fancy suit, the one man he couldn't stand. Ignoring Felix's eye roll, Jason sat beside him. "Didn't think you'd be back. Kind of thought you had the guts to leave Helen alone," Jason teased, swirling his wine glass. "A man should have some dignity, not cling like plaster to the Liu family. You have no idea how much Helen's mom looks down on you. A bastard, born but not raised by a mother. Bringing up engagement was just to save face for the old man. You're just a sideshow. I'm the man fit to stand beside Helen." As Jason babbled, Felix stared at his wine, lost in thought. Of course, Jason knew all about Felix's severe mental health struggles. He got pissed off before because of some stupid gossip about tea. Back then, He was hugely insecure about Helen being distant, so Jason's provocations always worked like a charm. But now the truth is finally out. Felix felt sick, like he wanted to punch someone, but he couldn't mess up Helen's grandpa's birthday party. He got up, planning to move away from him. Oops! Jason accidentally spilled the red wine all over himself. Felix, I've got no inappropriate feelings for Helen. No need to see every guy around her as a threat. Jason raised his voice, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. Felix, sensing something, turned around. Sure enough, Helen was helping her grandpa out of the room, with her mom trailing behind. Felix, what are you up to again? Helen frowned at Jason's stained clothes and shot Felix a disapproving look. Helen's mom chimed in, also looking displeased. Felix, it's Grandpa's birthday, and you're not even engaged to Helen yet. You can't start nonsense here. What have I told you before? Jealousy with no regard to the occasion is so petty. Even Helen's grandpa frowned, tapping heavily on his cane a few times. Felix, you better go home and think about what you've done. I've got to keep you in line for your grandpa. This is insane. Are we shooting a dramatic family sitcom here? Felix was stunned by their comments. Felix, Becky hurried over from the other side of the room, frowning with an incredibly serious look. It's fine. I'll handle it myself, Felix said, softly reassuring her as he gave her hand a gentle squeeze. Jason sulked behind Helen, and her mom patted his hand reassuringly. Sometimes when you're speechless, you can only laugh. Ignoring their accusations, Felix calmly pulled out a voice recorder from his handbag, cranked up the volume, and hit play. You have no idea how much Helen's mom loathes you. Suddenly, the room went so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The people watching went from curious to sneering. Their faces turned into a mix of colors. A random woman snickered, and soon everyone started whispering amongst themselves. Felix put on his best fake, professional smile and switched off the recorder. What a joke. From a young age, I was bullied a lot, so I've always been on guard. A voice recorder is an essential item for me. Before he could think too much about it, Becky already pulled him into an embrace, speaking softly. Darling, did I do something wrong? Why do Helen's mom and grandpa hate me so much? I wanted to introduce you as my boyfriend. Becky looked at them with determined eyes. Helen felt nothing anymore seeing that. If we're not welcome here, Felix and I won't interrupt the birthday celebration, she said softly, along with Felix as they walked out. Once at home, as soon as they were inside, Becky wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him passionately. Felix's mind went blank as he bent his head, basking in her intense love. After what felt like ages, she reluctantly pulled back. Felix, do you know how hot you are? The way you stand up to people is so damn attractive. Tell me, did you put some sort of spell on me? In that moment, Felix gently pushed her away. Whether acting calm in serious situations or passionate in private, he was utterly captivated by Becky. But he really liked this side of her. What I long for most is love bold enough to show. I wrapped an arm around Becky's waist, pulling her closer. Maybe it's because you've got my back that I dare to be this bold. I'm naturally a vengeful, spiteful guy, and now that I've got backup, anyone who crosses me is getting bit back. She laughed so hard her chest shook, hugging me tighter. Fine. If you can't bite back, I'll be the one to take the snap. When I woke up the next day, it was already noon. In a haze, I finished washing up, went downstairs, and saw Becky cooking up a storm in the kitchen, apron and all. Watching her skillfully cook and chop, I hugged her from behind. Get enough sleep? Great, lunch will be ready soon. I was just about to take a peek at what she was making when the doorbell rang. I rushed out of the kitchen to answer it. It was Helen at the door. I gently closed the door and turned around to face her. About yesterday. I'm sorry. Helen's voice was raspy, and her eyes had a hint of darkness under them. I'm not just gonna say it's okay. Here's a quote. If apologies worked, why would we need the police? Any other business. I'd like to go back to having my brunch. Was what you did yesterday with Becky just to piss me off? We shouldn't drag others into our issues, especially when Becky has a busy life. Stop bothering her all the time. It wasn't to upset you. Becky's my girlfriend. She's not a stranger. She's family now. I looked into her eyes, speaking earnestly. Helen froze, then widened her eyes in disbelief. Her voice even got louder. You and Becky? Do you even know what you're doing? She's 3 years older than me. I shrugged. Yeah, she's only 6 years older than me. It's not like she's 10 or 20 years older. That age difference is normal, right? She doesn't treat me like a kid. Helen still looked like she couldn't accept it and then grabbed my arm frowning. No. I tried to pull away but failed. Why not? Don't try to come between us. Let go of me. Do you know her family's not normal? I paused, a bit stunned. What? Did you know Becky's mom was driven to her death by her dad? Becky's dad is an obsessive control freak who confined her mom at home for 10 years. Her mom developed severe depression. One moment she was waving to Becky from downstairs, and the next she jumped and died right in front of her. Becky saw her mom die with her own eyes. Her dad's a control freak, and she is too. Do you even know the darkness of her methods? In Italy, anyone who betrays her faces terrifying consequences. How dare you? Helen was teary-eyed, shaking my shoulders. I know. I looked down and smiled. I know, sis. I felt it the moment I met her. What? Helen seemed like she didn't get what I meant. At first, she'd decide things for me, like what to eat or wear, and how to manage time between school and hobbies. Everything was perfectly arranged. Later, I had to report who I met and what time I'd be home. But isn't that what I wanted? A control freak and a dependent personality. A perfect match. She never minded me clinging to her, or me being a loner with no friends. She'd make choices for me when I couldn't. I moved Helen's hands from my shoulders. Sis, Becky's like my other half. I used to dream of someone who'd center their world around me, control me, love me, give me a sense of security. Life's short, and since I've met someone who fits me so well, why should I struggle to change? Besides, I feel we're getting better. She changed Felix's strict schedule to let him sleep till he's rested. She'd encourage me to do whatever I wanted. And even if I stumbled, she'd be there to catch me. My dependence gave her a sense of belonging in the world. She wasn't that cold, profit-driven businessperson anymore. Not the crazy person hiding in a basement when upset, hurting herself. We're home to each other. Thinking about it, I really want to go back to the room and hug Becky. Sis, I clung too much to you and might have been a burden. I'd get mad and sad when you misunderstood me. Still, I'm grateful for the care you've given me since I was little. After watching Helen leave, I opened the door. Becky was standing less than 10 steps away, head down, looking at her phone. Hearing me come back, her face lit up with a smile as she spread her arms. Becky, I hugged her with a grin. What are you making? Smells so good. Green pepper beef strips. She pulled me towards the dining area. Your checkup showed you're anemic, so our Felix needs iron. But I don't like green peppers. Tough, at least one bite. I cut them really fine. Sautéed soft, you'll barely taste them mixed in rice. Okay, I'll have a bit. Good boy. We weren't in a rush to get back to Italy. Since we're here, why not explore? On a private racetrack in Haiching, a black and a red sports car were neck and neck. Wheels spinning fast, engines roaring across the track. In the end, the black car edged out the red by a second. After stopping, 2 drivers got out, a man and a woman. I won. Becky leaned against the door, gesturing to the red car driver. I pulled her in and nibbled on her exposed neck. Tasted salty sweat. The adrenaline rush had me thrilled. We kissed passionately. Next time, I'll beat you. A fluke this time. I'll try harder, my opponent's tough. Sure. We also hit a few auctions. Becky became obsessed with picking items, and I'd raise bids and buy them for her. Though it was all with her money. In a bar's private room. Helen, slow down. You'll get alcohol poisoning. Lucy snatched a bottle from Helen, trying to snap her out of it. Why? What? Lucy leaned in close. Why isn't Felix hanging with his sister anymore? It's been ages since he asked me to watch movies or paint. No one's better or sweeter than Felix. Jason, yeah. Jason, I fired him. He stirred trouble, made my little Felix so upset he went abroad. Felix, Felix, I regret it. Helen covered her face, tears leaking through her fingers. Lucy lit a cigarette in frustration. Being Helen's best friend, she always thought Helen's feelings for Felix weren't just sibling-like. Back then, even if she'd said it, Helen wouldn't believe her. So she tried to prevent Helen from hurting Felix. Now, Helen's dealing with the mess she made. People often realize the value of ordinary things only after losing them. Extra. In the morning, Becky watched her husband with admiration. Married 7 years, Felix only grew more charming. Together, they explored new worlds, attended the same university, enjoying campus romance. Post-grad, they traveled and did charity work, writing about their journey. They had been unwinding at the estate for 3 months and planned to head to Antarctica next month. Busy prepping but loving it. Over these years, Felix cut all ties with his family. He heard they split and started new families. The reason for his parents' neglect? Becky thought it probably didn't matter to Felix anymore. Some truths aren't pretty, so in their story, no need for past answers. Knowing changes nothing, just adds worry. As for Helen, her tale's more tangled, still a mess. With Jason from back then, Jason got married. Surprising. Huh? It sure is. Back then, Jason took advantage of a drunk Helen. After, he fled to the countryside. Helen got pregnant and couldn't bring herself to abort. Forced by her elders, the two just got a marriage certificate. Only that, after Jason used the money for his family. Later, they found out Jason had 3 sisters. They caused chaos, exploiting their connection to Helen. But by now, Helen's parents couldn't regret more even if they tried. Word is, they're in the middle of a divorce. Jason is demanding a huge chunk of their company, fighting tooth and nail for it. Helen's mom somehow found out Felix's new phone number, but Becky was the one who answered. She's got Felix's go-ahead to manage these kinds of social calls. No one was going to mess with their life. Thinking of all this, Becky glanced at the clock. It was almost time for Felix to wake up. They were going to grab breakfast out today. She'd have to pick out something for Felix to wear. It's wisteria season outside, so matching purple outfits seemed perfect for today. Becky planted a kiss on Felix's cheek. Good morning to a brand new day, my other half.